Did you know if you dig around in your pantry, you've got plenty of stuff to amend the soil in your garden? Let's check it out. Hey everyone, welcome to Homestead Corner. I'm Ginny, and today I wanted to talk about 5 pantry items that we all have in our pantries that are wonderful for your garden. I have mentioned a few of these in videos and things like that. Just we purchase them because we use them in the garden. So today I thought I would share. So garden season is just kicking off here in Maine, but I know a lot of you are already well into it. So I thought I would do this a little bit early. We don't really have too many plants in the ground, just a few of our colder crops. We wanted to get those planted as early as possible. We always try to get those in. But right now we are looking at making sure our soil is nice and healthy for the plants as we put them in, especially if you're purchasing starts. They're quite expensive. You want to make sure your soil is in good condition. So let's jump right in and check out these 5 pantry items we can use to help our gardens. So the first thing on my list is baking soda. Baking soda is wonderful in the garden. You can use it for a whole bunch of different things. I think it is wonderful you can mix it in water, use a teaspoon of your baking soda in a gallon of water and spray it on your plants. If you get any of that white fungus or anything like that, it also helps deter pests. It can do a whole bunch of things in the garden. It can also level off your pH, get that in better condition. If your soil is too acidic, you want to make sure that your plants that require high acid, like your blueberries, are getting that, but your other plants that don't require it, you don't want the soil to be too much acid in there. So baking soda can help bring that acid level down if it is too high. And also just sprinkling a little bit around the base of your tomato plants. You don't want to get it on the plant, just on the ground around it. And when the water pulls that down in, that is going to help give you nice strong roots on your plant, and it also helps more fruit and flowering stuff as well. So you want to really be careful with it, but just a teeny bit. You can sprinkle it around in a circle around the base, and it can be super helpful. And it also deters slugs and things like that, which is also wonderful. The next thing we use from the pantry, coffee grinds. We use our used coffee grinds. We're not going to waste any of that. It costs way too much. So after you run it through your coffee maker or however you make coffee, your pour over, when you are done with your coffee grinds, we put them in a little bowl and we can bring them out and turn them into the soil. Coffee grinds are wonderful to help aerate the soil, which is great, but it can add a lot of acid. Your blueberries love coffee grinds, pine needles, things like that. Coffee grinds can help raise the acid in the soil, so you want to be careful, and again, paying attention to what each plant likes. If it doesn't like highly acidic soil, I wouldn't put any coffee on there. But you don't need a lot, just a little bit, 1 pot worth. We do a whole bed with that. Usually in the fall or the spring, we mix it right into the soil, and it really helps out with lots of things. Turning your coffee grinds into the soil can really help add nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus into the soil. So that is a great help. Your plants need these things, and you just want to be careful. Your blueberries, your rhododendrons really love those coffee grinds and high acidic things, but a lot of other plants do not like it. You can also take these coffee grinds and put them in a jar with water and just soak them for a few days, and it's going to make a beautiful fertilizer. So you just strain it out, or I have dumped it right on. If you're spraying it, you're going to want to strain it so you don't clog up your sprayer, but you can put it in a pour container, whatever, and just pour it right on. Those coffee grinds aren't going to hurt. They're soaked in real good, but it really gives lots of great nutrients to your plants. The next thing we love to use from the pantry is eggshells. Eat your eggs, save your shells. We put them on a tray, pop them in the oven about 250 degrees for, 20, 30 minutes. We just want to make sure they are nice and dry. I try to flip the little eggshells upside down so anything's going to drain out as it dries, and just make sure they're good and dry. And then I put them in a baggie, and you can beat them up with a rolling pin and get these smaller pieces. Be careful if you're using your hands. They are sharp and will poke through the bags. You can definitely cut yourself with them. If you are wanting to turn this into the soil to increase calcium to your plants, I would grind this down in your blender or a grinder of some sort. If you have a grinder for herbs, anything like that, you could pop this right in there and make a powder with it, and then turning it into the soil is going to help so your plants can absorb all that calcium. Eggshells can definitely improve the soil structure. And also when you use pieces like this, these little teeny pieces, but they're still kind of intact, they are going to cut up slugs and things like that. It will cut them and kill them in your beds. A lot of times we'll sprinkle a little of this in there and also some of the powder just to really increase that calcium. But in this size, it takes a lot longer for it to break down in the soil, whereas the powder is going to be absorbed a lot more quickly. Your eggshells can also help neutralize acid. So if you've got a little too much acid in that soil, it can help bring it down just like the baking soda would. So that's another option for that. And again, like the coffee grinds, you can soak your eggshells in water. I like to use this size when I do it. And so when you soak that in water for a week, usually 4 or 5 days, up to a week, that is going to pull all kinds of nutrients out of those eggshells, and then it has a beautiful fertilizer for your garden. The next thing in our pantry we love in the garden, Epsom salt. We always buy the unscented. If we want to add scents to it in the bath, we can. Or a foot soak or anything like that, working on those achy muscles, you can add stuff to it after, but we always get it unscented with nothing in it, just Epsom salt, because we love it in the garden. Epsom salt is wonderful. You can add a teaspoon to a gallon of water and just water your flowers every 2 weeks or so, and it will help encourage blooms and really perk up those floral plants. When you're using this around plants, you do want to be sparingly because it can kill them if you overdo it. You want to be careful, just sprinkling, and just a little bit is all it really takes. But it helps add magnesium and sulfur to your plants, which is something that they need, especially your trees and shrubs. It's really good for that. Just sprinkling around the base of the tree or the shrub. When it rains, it pulls that magnesium and sulfur in and really helps grow big, strong roots, especially that first or year or two when you're putting new things in the ground. It can really help them boost up their strength and grow nice and strong trunks, and also the roots will get really, really nice. But again, be careful, you can overdo it. And the last thing we love to use in the garden is good old molasses. It's not just for baking and cooking, it's for gardens as well. If you have anything that you'd like to sweeten up, like you can water your carrots with it, your tomatoes, your cucumbers, melons, anything like that, anything you want to add a little sweetness to, just 1 teaspoon in a gallon of water. It does not take much, and it is a little difficult to mix, so I try to mix it in some water first to get it started, and then add that into the gallon once I've got it already loosened up, usually half a cup of water or something. It's just easier to mix in that way, because if you put it in a gallon jug, it's a lot more difficult to get it to combine into that water. But just watering your plants for the last 2 weeks before you're going to harvest, about 2 weeks, we like to water them, and it really helps sweeten them up, because molasses is boiled down sugar cane. So we want to make sure that if we want our fruits or plants to be a little bit sweeter, we can use that molasses in there. And this is something we learned from an old farmer a long time ago, and it works beautifully. There are so many chemicals out there to buy, and you don't need to, because there really is a lot of stuff just hanging around the house that's going to work. And these 5 things are things that we have been using for years in our garden, and we just love them. They're affordable and they work great. The only issue with any of these is all of them, you can overdo it. So you want to go sparingly, and a teaspoon in a gallon doesn't sound like much, but it really is enough. You don't want to overdoing it with any of these can kill your plant. Like molasses can clog up the pores if it's too much in there. So it can't soak up the water, and we don't want that. And you know, your salt and your baking soda, you can definitely overdo it. So going with less is more, definitely, in the garden. These are powerhouses, and we find that they work great for pests, for extra growth, extra blooms, extra fruit, all sorts of stuff. Just using these things can be really simple. That doesn't have to be difficult, and it really can boost up your garden. So I just wanted to share these 5 things that we use from our pantry in the garden, and they are really helpful. You can use them in so many different ways. I just tried to touch on some of the most common ways that we use them, and you just save a ton of money and really get that bounty up so your garden is producing like you want it to. And that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!